Joe's on a whole different level of delusion, and honestly, this whole thing is laughable. Last week, this man really got arrested for sleepwalking. What the hell is going on? He's straight up out here acting like that's an excuse for whatever the hell went down. Missed 2 podcast episodes, and now he's back like nothing happened, talking about how he got into some stuff that only he could get into. Yeah, we get it, Joe. You did something ridiculous, but come on, sleepwalking? That's the reason you got arrested? You were just out here wandering the streets, butt naked, completely oblivious to what's going on? Only Joe would get himself in a mess like that. This man really said, I just sleepwalked somewhere I shouldn't have, like that's some kind of get out of jail free card. You're 100% naked, sleepwalking through random places like it's no big deal. And you know what? It's not even the first time. Dude actually had the nerve to tell everyone that he sleepwalked into his manager's hotel suite, hopped into his bed naked like, oh, that's just what I do. I sleep naked, man. Why the hell would you even tell us that? This is your business, Joe, not the whole damn world's problem. But you're over here broadcasting your personal life like it's a joke. And then, after all this sleepwalking nonsense, Joe comes back to the podcast and everything's different. The nice spot in Edgewater with a balcony? Gone. Now they're stuck in Park's basement. But Joe's out here trying to spin this whole story and talk about how his sleepwalking has nothing to do with it. Yeah, okay, sure, Joe. You're really gonna tell us that the only reason you guys are recording in a basement now is because the town has new filming bylaws? Nah, we're not buying it. It's obvious that whatever happened while Joe was MIA had everything to do with the change in location. The whole vibe of the podcast shifted because of Joe's mess. And then he tries to act like the whole thing is just some personal issue that has nothing to do with the podcast. Bro, you can't be serious. The town is actively surveilling people, and now you're acting like it's no big deal? You've got your whole crew caught up in this mess, and you're over here trying to cover it up like you're some kind of hero? Get out of here. Nobody's buying this nonsense. Joe's got his entire team tangled up in whatever drama he started, but he's too busy pretending it's all for some good cause. Newsflash, Joe. You messed up, and now everyone's paying the price. All your actions are catching up to you, and you're not fooling anyone. All right, let me break this down for the people who don't watch the podcast and might actually be clueless about what's going on here. So Joe Blown has this neighbor he absolutely can't stand. They're constantly at each other's throats, and it's gotten to the point where Joe had to have a whole conversation with the landlord. Oh, and don't forget, these neighbors aren't just some random people, they're rich as hell. We're talking about people with major influence and ties to Edgewater. The kind of people who can ruin your life if they really want to. So, pissing them off? Probably not the best move, Joe. Now, fast forward 3 weeks after Joe's little sleepwalking escapade, and what do we get? The Edgewater police drop a press release that completely airs Joe out. This is wild. They detail exactly what went down that night, and it's not pretty. Apparently, on December 4th, 2024, at around 7:21 a.m., someone calls the cops because they saw a completely naked Joe standing outside their apartment door. That's right, Joe was out there butt naked, not even trying to cover up. The caller recognized him as their neighbor, Joseph, 44 years old. This person was tipped off by their doorbell camera footage, which caught Joe trying to punch in a code on their door keypad multiple times. Then, as if that wasn't embarrassing enough, Joe just went back to his own apartment across the hall. So, yeah, the cops investigated, and Joe got charged with loudness and disorderly conduct. A whole mess. And here's the kicker. He has to go to court next month for this, so buckle up. And honestly, Joe, I don't know what you're thinking, but can you please, for the love of God, put on some pants before you go to bed? I get it. Sometimes it's comfortable to sleep naked, especially with the AC blasting, but you can't be out here sleepwalking in your birthday suit like it's normal. Get some damn clothes on, Joe. You're out here making headlines for all the wrong reasons. Man, seriously, if you're out here with a sleepwalking issue, you better make sure you're at least covered up. Joe, excuse for this nonsense. Here's the thing, though, Joe lives in the building, but no one really knows if he has a separate apartment to sleep in, or if he just passed out of the podcast studio. I mean, the guy works late nights sometimes, but that's still no excuse to be walking around naked, especially in a place you consider your workplace. We all know which spot he's talking about on Patreon. Yeah, that one. It's unprofessional, and it's weird. So what's Joe's next move? He clearly can't keep recording in Parf's basement. Let's be real. He's got a huge crew, and that basement ain't gonna cut it. Especially since they're all over the place, with most of the crew now living in Jersey. But here's the kicker. Joe wasn't even upfront about what happened, and now his haters are having a field day. We all know that if this was anyone Joe doesn't like, he'd be roasting them non-stop. TMZ is probably already lurking in Edgewater, trying to buy the neighbor's footage. That's the level of mess Joe is dealing with now. Honestly, all jokes aside, it's about time Joe addressed this sleepwalking issue. That whole thing with him trying to get into his neighbor's apartment could have gone way worse. We've all seen situations like that go sideways. So, let's hear it, Joe. When are you going to actually talk about it? And don't act like you're innocent here. You got yourself caught up in a mess, and now you've got charges to deal with. People are already talking about you being charged with a disorderly conduct violation, and trust me, it's not going away anytime soon. On top of all that, let's talk about this whole situation where Joe admitted he sleepwalked into Ian's room and got all confused. This man woke up in a room that wasn't even his, and instead of handling it like an adult, he just got mad and had to explain to him that he was sleepwalking. Honestly, that's just embarrassing. Wake up, Joe. Joe, what the hell is going on with you? You seriously woke up in the middle of the night and thought it was a good idea to just barge into Ian's room? You didn't even knock, just kicked down the door like you own the place. Ian probably thought, all right, maybe Joe's just half awake, looking for a charger or some dumb thing, right? But nope, it gets worse. Instead of just grabbing whatever you needed and leaving, you actually climbed into his bed. Like, what the hell kind of sleepwalking is this? Not only are you in the wrong room, but you're also crawling into bed with your manager, fully aware, or at least should have been aware, that this isn't your space. This is next level weird, bro. You didn't just wander around aimlessly. You intentionally made yourself comfortable in someone else's bed. Like, what kind of messed up sleepwalking are we talking about here? If it were anyone else, you'd be roasting them for some crazy stuff like this. But now it's your turn, and it's straight up creepy. You couldn't even manage to pull yourself together enough to realize that this was totally the wrong room? Are you out of your mind? How does that even happen? What were you thinking, bro? Because at this point, I'm convinced you weren't thinking at all. This isn't just embarrassing, it's straight up wild. You've crossed a line that doesn't even make sense, and it's hard to feel bad for you at this point. That concludes today's video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you're alerted whenever a new video drops. It's completely free and helps out the channel tremendously. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.